You're watching Television Southwest. Later, John Trenchard and his team have their lanterns swinging on the cliff tops and they're a danger to passing shipping. The Wrecking Crew is at 7:30. But first, Dr. Macclevoid's in his surgery and he's prescribing movies. Tonight, as sand passes through the hourglass, so the days of our lives as we return to the planet Arrakis, and the man with the impossibly alien name of Paul, who's one fawning compliment short of a god complex. Can his beautiful but dull girlfriend who doesn't believe in messiahs keep him honest? Well, the next book's called Dune Messiah, so what do you think? Welcome to Macclevoid at the Movies.
So there you have it. Your basic intergalactic warfare as the heroic princess is snatched away from the Death Star by the intrepid space buccaneers. And what's the meaning of it all? Who knows and who cares? Star Wars became the new box office champion by providing pure 100% escapist entertainment. It's one of those rare movies that seems to play to every sort of audience, Gene, and bring out the kid in all of us.
You know, I've seen the picture 3 times, and that sequence more than that. And every time I see that little fighting sequence, I think I figured out the secret of at least that chunk of the movie, and that is, that looks exactly like what happens at a pinball game that kids love. We're seeing things blow up, and I think the way this movie is shot different ways, quick action like that, it's like you're putting every person as a pinball player who walks into the theater.
Maybe that's why people can see it a dozen times or 24 times, because it doesn't matter that you know the story. You still have the sound and light, the effects, the explosions, the dogfight in outer space. It's just a never-ending visual delight. I think it's a movie that will last for years.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about is it's so successful and so mindless fun that I hope Hollywood doesn't forget that there are people who like to see serious pictures, too.
But Dune Part 2, which follows the most expensive proof of concept ever made, an entire movie costing $165 million US, is an attempt to reconcile our ongoing obsession with juvenilia with something more adult. That tweak requires a different style, a different tone. Comparisons with Star Wars are instructive because George Lucas asset stripped Frank Herbert's novel for parts when putting together his composite space saga. Dune still has all the shit we've been reared on, Imperium's fighting those technologically less sophisticated, but all the more rich for having a spiritual life. There's always a tacit attack on Western values in these movies. The hero with an exceptional bloodline, who, because he's exceptional, is gifted with powers and abilities that transcend the common man. When a woman's given these abilities, we call her a Mary Sue, because we're sexist, and if we're a man, we can't imagine ourselves as that character. But when a man like Paul Atreides has them, we call it a hero's journey. And we like it a lot, because what man hasn't fantasised about, wielding power to fight the good fight and lead a credulous horde into battle? The twist in Dune is that Paul, old Blue Eyes on account of his developing spice addiction, can we really trust a character whose decisions are fueled by drugs, by the way? This is a war leader, not a session musician. Paul is thought to be the Fremen's messiah, and as the movie progresses, he gains length at the suggestion, culminating in pornographic calls to genocidal violence and conquest. Fortunately, the spectre of a formerly oppressed people turning to violence in a bid to secure their homeland and return it to a divinely blessed paradise has no contemporary political parallel. And thank goodness for that. Dune Part 2 is a sumptuous movie, but not, it should be said, a very entertaining one. It's not really interested in pushing your buttons. It's showing you its buttons and inviting you to learn which does what. It's paced for contemplation of its themes and visuals. How invested you are depends on how interesting you find the mythology. This is a self-serious affair with no room for levity, romance, or fun. It's a film for chin-strokers, not dick-strokers. If this 3-hour tone poem has a problem, something like a flaw, It's the difficulty in selling Paul's transition from humble foreigner taken in by the simple desert people, eager to join the cause, a decision in no way influenced by the beautiful Shaney, a man who rejects all this prophesied nonsense about him being their Moses, to a brutal leader who feels obliged not to let the troops down, so unleashes jihad. In Herbert's novel, the pressure to fulfill this role turned it into a self-fulfilling prophecy, but in Denis' movie it's more ambiguous, not least because none of our characters have any internal monologue. We're left to conclude that Paul turned his back on restraint and his girlfriend because of a huge, near-death inducing spice bender. Part 2 then might be the most expensive anti-drugs film ever made. It's an aggressively cinematic spectacle, an attempt to flip a novel with plenty of interiority into a meditative essay in which vistas and soundscapes attempt to do away with dialogue altogether. Consequently, Denis captures the grandeur of Herbert's novel, the scale, but can't hope to improve on the characterisation. Character, you may think, is not the point of a story like this one. It's myth-making, it's allegory, but without real people to care about, there's a ceiling on how invested we can become. Dune Part 2 is ponderous and sombre, perhaps too much to be a 4-quadrant blockbuster. This is a series trying to build a reputation as superior cerebral science fiction, a movie for the discerning genre fan. But will that be enough to turn a profit when the cost of each instalment is so high? I'll be damned if I know. Dune Part 2, starring Timothée Chalamet and Rebecca Ferguson, the Duchess of York, is rated 12A for granular discomfort, wasting Christopher Walken, and not containing a trigger warning for anyone with worms.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating. And it gets everywhere. Not like here. Here everything is soft and smooth.
Thank you for watching this videogram presentation.